Today we are looking at an article from the C.S. Lewis Institute. It's by Christopher Lee Rees, and it's titled, "What Scientific Proof Do We Have That There Is a God?" Before we get into this, I want to thank my patrons. If you have the money to spare, please consider joining. Now, to no one's shock, the answer in the article is tons. But also to no one's shock, the answer in reality is none. Let's get into it.
In the modern West, scientific proof is thought to be the gold standard for separating truth from falsehood. The popular belief is that if you don't have scientific proof of something, it doesn't exist or is just a matter of subjective opinion. This is a viewpoint known as scientism, which holds that science is the only means of discovering truth. But there are many truths about the world that lie outside the realm of science. For example, philosophical truths, such as the laws of logic; moral truths, murder is an evil act; historical truths, Columbus set sail in 1492 to discover a sea route to Asia; aesthetic truths, sunsets are beautiful.
Philosophical truths are valid in certain scenarios, although it is not applicable in every scenario. Moral truths is a misnomer. Morality is subjective. Historical truths are basically just scientific truths with extra steps. Aesthetic truths is also a misnomer. You can't just name philosophical fields, morality or ethics, and aesthetics, and label them as being objective truths about reality.
So when it comes to providing reasons to believe that God exists, we need not limit ourselves to scientific evidence. We can appeal, for example, to the existence of objective morality, as C.S. Lewis did in Mere Christianity, to religious experience, or to Jesus' resurrection from the dead.
There is no objective morality. Religious experiences are better called delusions. Delusions are much more common than we care to admit. The human brain is very adept at pattern recognition, often to a fault. I know many people who genuinely believe they hear their friends and family talking to them while they are completely alone. Delusions are much more common than we care to admit. There is no evidence that Jesus ever resurrected from the dead, period. And I don't think there is very strong evidence that Jesus ever existed at all.
Nonetheless, there is powerful scientific evidence that points to God's existence, as we'll discuss two lines of this evidence below.
There is no scientific evidence for any deity's existence. None. If I'm wrong, actually present some. Not the trite you present in this article, but actual evidence. I can point to evolution happening. Do that for God.
One final caveat before we proceed relates to the term proof. Merriam-Webster defines proof as evidence that compels acceptance by the mind of a truth or a fact. This is the everyday meaning of proof, in the sense of demonstrating something beyond any doubt. It's important to note, however, that science is unable to provide this level of assurance. As the philosopher Karl Popper famously argued, scientific theories cannot ultimately be proven or confirmed because other theories and observations may arise later that explain a phenomenon better. Thus, most leading scientists today recognize that scientific explanations are always provisional and may be modified or replaced in the future.
Yes, science is ever-changing. As I once said in a previous video, in science, when something is wrong, we throw it out.
This is important to be aware of, because in the realm of science, we are always dealing with probabilities rather than proof. Some piece of scientific evidence can point to God's existence and make it more probable, but scientific evidence can't conclusively demonstrate that God exists. It's simply beyond the purview of science to give us definitive proof about anything. So the evidence we'll discuss below provides good and strong reasons to believe that God exists, but it can't prove beyond any doubt that God exists. Science is incapable of reaching that high bar.
Of course. Again, when something is wrong in science...
The most widely accepted account of how the universe came into existence is the standard Big Bang model. Based on a number of different scientific observations, physicists have concluded that the universe sprang into existence out of nothing about 14 billion years ago.
Bullshit. That is not the account of the Big Bang. It does not say the universe sprang into existence out of nothing. The Big Bang theory supposes that everything was at one point in a hot, dense state, and eventually it began to expand outward. This was ultimately started from an inference by Edwin Hubble. Hubble is credited as noticing what seemed to be the expansion of the universe, and posited that this observation was accurate to the truth of the situation, and then therefore posited that it was expanding out from some singular point. Thusly, the Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory does not suppose that the matter and energy inside this hot, dense state literally came from nothing at the time of initial expansion. You are lying, or you are ignorant, or you are being intentionally ignorant, which I still consider a lie.
The most immediate question that comes to mind in light of this account is, who or what caused the Big Bang?
Drop the who. The question is what. Establish the what is a being, and we can begin to talk about whose.
Significantly, the Standard Model holds that all space, matter, energy, and time suddenly came into existence from nothing with the Big Bang.
No, it doesn't. You are wrong.
That means that whatever brought the Big Bang about is beyond space and time. Immaterial, personal, this being made a decision to create.
Personal? How do you come to this conclusion? Oh, right. You want the Bible to be true. Of course.
And unbelievably powerful.
In some sense, I suppose, if we follow your line of reasoning, which we don't have to, and in fact I suggest we don't, but if we do, the unbelievably powerful part is true in one way, although not in the biblical sense that you mean.
Of course, this is an excellent description of many of the attributes of God. Who else but God could have brought about a universe into being?
Oh my god! You walked over to the target and shoved your arrow in the bullseye, walked back to the 50-meter mark, and drew back your bow, and then you hit your shot! That's so impressive! You were able to hit the bullseye from 50 meters away! By lying!
Some scientists have proposed alternative scenarios seemingly designed to avoid an absolute beginning of the universe.
No self-respecting scientist has published a theory specifically to avoid the conclusion your God exists. Stop attempting to paint everything as some battle for or against your religion. You're paranoid.
But none have proven persuasive enough to replace the Standard Model.
The Standard Model that you lied about.
While scientific theories, as we've noted, are always subject to change, the Big Bang is currently understood certainly points to the existence of God.
No. The Big Bang as you currently understand it, or want us to understand it, points to the existence of God. Again, it's super impressive how you hit the bullseye from 50 meters away by cheating.
Although the fact that the universe exists at all is remarkable, another fascinating aspect of the universe is that it is fine-tuned for the existence of life.
If it was fine-tuned for life, it could have been fine-tuned for literally anything else.
Some examples include the following. The strength of gravity. The strength of gravity is determined by the gravitational constant. If gravity were significantly stronger, stars would burn out much faster, leaving less time for life to develop. On the other hand, if gravity were much weaker, stars might not form at all, preventing the creation of essential elements for life.
Sounds like God fine-tuned the universe for the existence of stars.
The cosmological constant. This constant relates to the expansion speed of the universe. If it were just a little bit larger, the universe would have expanded too rapidly for galaxies and stars to form. Conversely, if it were too small, the universe might have collapsed back on itself before life had a chance to emerge.
Still sounds like God fine-tuned the universe for the existence of stars. Or maybe galaxies.
The strong nuclear force. This force holds together the protons and neutrons in an atom's nucleus. If it were slightly weaker, protons and neutrons wouldn't stick together, making complex atoms impossible. Without complex atoms, the chemical diversity necessary for life wouldn't exist. If it were stronger, protons would potentially bind to each other more rapidly, which could lead to a universe without stable hydrogen, an essential element for life.
Seems like God fine-tuned the universe for the existence of complex atoms, or specifically for the existence of a ton of hydrogen. You know, Yahweh, super into hydrogen. After all, if you think he's super into life, why can't someone else think he's super into hydrogen? Or stars. Stars rely on hydrogen. Yeah, I think God is really, really into stars.
The size and distance of the Earth from the Sun. Earth's position in the solar system is in what scientists call the Goldilocks zone, where it's not too hot and not too cold, allowing for liquid water to exist on its surface. The size of Earth also ensures that it has the right gravity to retain an atmosphere suitable for life without being too strong to inhibit the mobility of organisms.
Could you take this whole section and append life with "as we know it," please?
Those unfamiliar with the evidence for fine-tuning will sometimes claim that it's a concept held only by Christians or theists. Yet, scientists who claim no religious affiliation or are openly agnostic or atheist acknowledge this fact about the universe. Fred Hoyle, an eminent physicist and agnostic, stated, "A common-sense interpretation of the fact suggests that a super-intellect has monkeyed with physics as well as chemistry and biology, and that there are no blind forces worth speaking about in nature." In his book, A Brief History of Time, the late Stephen Hawking wrote, "The remarkable fact is that the values of these numbers seems to have been finely adjusted to make possible the development of life." Physicist P.C.W. Davies, also religiously unaffiliated, insists that the entire universe is balanced on a knife edge, and would be total chaos if any of the natural constants were off even slightly.
Wow. Some guys said some things? Incredible! I mean, really, why should I care? Let's consider that, maybe, the universal constants actually have to be the way they are, and any scenario where they aren't is physically impossible on some kind of multiversal basis. Why isn't that possible? Oh, because you say so? I guess I'll just worship Jesus, because that's somehow related.
The fine-tuning of numerous constants and quantities of the universe is unexpected and mysterious if naturalism is true.
Have you ever heard of the anthropic principle? No? Okay, so the anthropic principle basically states that for us to believe the universe was designed for us, we must exist in a universe that allows our existence. Therefore, the universe is not necessarily designed for us. We just happen to have to exist in a universe where we can exist. Or in other words, if you aren't hit by a car because someone bumps into you, it's not necessarily true that that person meant to save your life. It just means that you are alive because they pushed you, which coincidentally also allows you to ponder if that person pushed you over to save your life.
But it makes perfect sense if Christianity is true, and God desired to create beings he could have a relationship with.
If you follow your line of reasoning, sure, some of what you said is internally justifiable. But you have so many assumptions, it doesn't say anything about actual reality.
Although acknowledging the provisional nature of science, there are good scientific reasons to believe that God exists, and these reasons seem to grow stronger the more we learn about the universe. For those interested in exploring the relationship between Christianity and science in greater detail, books by John C. Lennox and Stephen C. Meyer are a good place to begin.
If you say so, bud. Whatever lets you sleep at night.